Back at it again, and it's all crumbling for Biden. Like, share, comment, and hit that subscribe button if you are new. And let's dive in.
Angle from Washington tonight. The monster they created. That's the focus of tonight's angle. Biden's chances for re-election are nosediving, and his campaign is getting very nervous. CNN describes the uneasiness that many Democrats feel about a president whose age is twice his approval rating. And this from Axios describing how private polls show the same hurdle as public ones. Brutally low popularity on the topics that matter most to voters. Now, Biden's getting crushed on his handling of immigration, crime, and inflation. It's not death by one issue, but by a half dozen at once.
Facts.
And it gets worse because he's even managing to alienate his strongest voting blocs. His unwavering support for Israel, which has been America's policy for many decades, even during their bloody counteroffensive against Hamas, is turning off a big chunk of both younger voters and is also at odds with many African-American voters. A recent Quinnipiac poll found that 51% of voters under 35 say they disapprove of the United States sending weapons and military support to Israel. That's a much higher figure than the 28% of Americans who oppose such a policy. Now, the CBS News poll conducted earlier was even worse for Biden. 59% of respondents under 30 said the U.S. should not send weapons and supplies to Israel. And for those between the ages of 30 and 44, 64% said the U.S. should not. Now, these age groups were key to Biden's election in 2020. And given these and other terrible signs for the administration, it's about time someone asked Joe's understudy a tough question.
A recent CBS poll found that at the beginning of President Biden's term, 70% of young people, people under 30, said he was doing a good job. Now it's less than 50%. Why is that?
If you poll how young people feel about the climate and the warming of our planet, it polls as one of their top concerns. The challenge that we have as an administration is we got to let people know who brung it to them. That's our challenge. But it is not that the work we are doing is not very, very popular with a lot of people.
Now,
can anybody decipher that? Now, oh man, what in the world? She's just always with these just statements that make zero sense. Zero sense whatsoever. No wonder why her poll numbers are worse than Biden's. Goodness gracious, this is terrible.
think about what Vice President Cackles is saying there. People are super happy, but they just don't know how super happy they are. Wow. Speaking of being in denial.
The world is on fire, one would argue. Joe Biden just went into a second extremely difficult hot war zone and dealt with world leaders, sat in on a war cabinet meeting in Israel, is able to navigate relationships that he has developed over decades, and yet it's going to be close between these two guys?
Now, the man in 2.5 years took us from peace and prosperity to war and inflation. And over at MSNBC, they're shocked that he's not soaring in the polls? Huh. Now, of course, the press is just mad that their narrative didn't stick. Because during the tussle over the speaker's race, of course, they hammered the Republicans that they're hopelessly divided. That theme went on and on. But the truth is, the real discord is between Democrat voters and Democrat policies.
Facts.
Especially on the war issue, which the publication Vox cites as Biden's major vulnerability. The perception of Biden's ownership of this war will only grow as Israel expands and extends its siege of Gaza. That's bad for Biden's electability, with so many young American voters increasingly critical of his unfettered backing of Israel. Now, who makes up the Democrats' anti-Israel, anti-war coalition? Well, many of the same types of voters who went door to door for Joe in Wisconsin, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania. That's who.
I feel like that whatever Hamas did was for a good cause, to get back our land.
We know that the Palestinian people have been so resilient in the face of many invasions like this, and we hope that Palestine will continue to fight for their right to be free.
USA,
for years now, the Democrats have been trying to hold together what's ultimately an unwieldy coalition of the old Clinton types, who are always eager for U.S. military action, and the anti-American lefties that we saw in the summer of 2020 and now, once again, in the pro-Hamas protests across the U.S. The current situation in the Middle East is straining that coalition in ways that could cost Biden enormously in 2024. Trump, who's staunchly pro-Israel but still a pragmatist on foreign policy, is already pulling some young voters from Biden.
I brought this story to you guys the other day. I forgot where that actually came from.
Republicans, they should not bail out the Democrats by nominating a candidate who would just greenlight the funding of not one, not two, but 3 wars at one time.
Nikki.
Why create a political escape hatch for the Democrats by doing that? I say let them instead face what they themselves created. A Frankenstein coalition of anti-American, anti-Israel, and anti-Semitic fanatics. And that's the angle. Hey,
so yeah, I wanted to bring that to you guys because once again, I mean, everything is falling into place. I mean, the evidence is everywhere. Biden's in trouble. Democrats are in serious trouble. And I talked about this just the other day. On multiple fronts, they are in trouble. You have this whole conflict overseas that a lot of Democrat voters disagree with how Joe Biden is handling it. A lot. As you saw there in the clip, you saw it. Those are Democrat voters that were out in those streets marching, right? On top of that, not only that, but you have the divide over the border issue. You got, we talked about the people in New York a while back with AOC and Jerry Nadler and Jamal Bowman and the crew, you know, giving their talking points outside of a hotel, a migrant hotel, allegedly a hotel that was, you know, housing migrants, right? And their constituents were outside of the hotel yelling and screaming, close the border, close the border, close the border, you know, the whole nine. So they have that, right? And Joe also has the economy issue dangling above his head. People don't have enough money, right? Gas is too high. Food prices are too high. Everything is too high. Housing costs are too high. Young adults can't find a place to live. They're still staying at their parents' homes. The American dream is gone. So you have all of these different issues piling up on top of each other. There's no way out except for WW3, in my humble opinion. Now, maybe I'm wrong about that. Y'all let me know in the comment section. But I think that is the off-ramp for Democrats. That's the off-ramp. WW3. That's how they escape. That's how they hit the escape hatch. That's how they get out of this entire debacle. And they hope that they live to tell the story. But that's the only way out. What do y'all think? Y'all let me know in the comment section. I think all of this is very, very interesting how it's all, you know, coming out. And, you know, everybody is in agreement. Joe isn't the guy. The only people that are still pushing Joe out is the establishment. The establishment has refused to put Joe to the side. Right? Well, allegedly. I think the establishment has tried to put Joe to the side, and Joe just said no. So now they're just running with it, and they see how terrible it's going. And Joe's still saying no to them. He's staying because of, we can kind of figure out why, okay? He understands the pickle that he's in if he just ups and leaves. So that's what I think is going on. He told them no, and they can't just get rid of him, you know, like those types of days I feel like are long gone. Not long gone, but you gotta proceed with a bit more caution with those types of situations. And you guys know what I'm speaking about. Okay. Talking about the Pine Box. Okay. Allegedly, I got to say that allegedly, of course, allegedly. So like, there's no legitimate off-ramp except for WW3, in my humble opinion. That's the route that they go. That's the route that they take. Because any other route, and it's going to be just as catastrophic for them. But what do y'all think? Maybe I'm wrong. Y'all let me know in the comment section below. Like, share, comment. Hit that subscribe button before you go. Peace and love. I'm out.